Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a good week last week. I hope everybody has a good week this week. We got some stuff I kind of like to talk about. I've been reading I've been reading all over the place, but something that God's been really speaking to me about is wisdom, and there's all kinds of things. I mean, different examples of wisdom, and I'm reading in Ecclesiastes, I believe, which is written by Solomon, King Solomon, and I'd like to give a little background about King Solomon. He was the second son of David and Bathsheba, and his deal was he had a half brother. He was the second son, like I said. He had a half brother, I believe, and then it was him and David's general. They had a conspiracy to kill Solomon, and he ended up killing them, and that's how he kind of became king. And anyhow, God came to him in a dream and told him he would grant him anything, more or less. And he told him, he wanted discernment and understanding, which is wisdom. He wanted wisdom, so God blessed him with wisdom. So that's where we get the book, all the books that Solomon had things to do with. He was the wisest man ever until Christ, obviously, and he's writing all these things, and he's a prime example of do as I say, not as I do. And I know that may sound terrible, but he was the wisest man there was, and it's kind of ironic that the verse that I'm talking about is something that really brought him down in the long run, was materialistic things. And I think that a lot of times in our world we all tend to not necessarily be materialistic, but we tend to worry so much about what we have and what we're going to have in order to survive, more or less. We think about things as necessities when maybe they're not necessarily necessities. And I know in our line of work, Oilfield, especially, a lot of us tend to think that way, and especially because things aren't really looking that great for us. But it's not just only Oilfield. I mean, this is every walk of life we're like that. And I'm reading in Ecclesiastes 6:11. It says, "Wisdom is even better when you have money. Both are a benefit as you go through life." That's where we're at. Wisdom and money can get you almost anything. Here's the kicker. But only wisdom can save your life. And so what I'm getting at is the thing that brought Solomon down was he had all this wisdom and he had all these things, and what brought him down was his love for the materialistic things. This guy had thousands of horses and chariots, and he built the first temple on Mount Moriah, and he had gardens and palaces, and man, this guy had it all. I mean, 700 wives and 300 concubines. I'm not sure if that goes in the pros or the cons, but he had it all, and this guy used all these things, and he ended up collecting all these treasures. I mean, this guy was an architect, a diplomat. Some called him a scientist. This guy had it all, and he didn't take heed to what he said, what he says here, and that's, wisdom and money can get you. Actually, he does, I guess. Wisdom and money can get you almost anything, but only wisdom can save your life. And so he leaned too much on the money side and not on the wisdom side, and he didn't use the wisdom that God gave him in order to save his life. He let everything pull him away. He let the world pull him away. So he had idols, and a lot of us have idols. It doesn't have to mean we worship false gods. It just means that we have to worship something. We have to put more of our time into something other than God. A lot of us do that with money. A lot of us do that with our jobs, and not necessarily money. Some of us do it with hobbies. We all have things that, a lot of times maybe we put them before God, and that's what he ended up doing, and it ended up pulling him away. So what I'd like everyone to get out of this is hold on to that. Wisdom and money can get you almost anything, and that's a fact. So if you're doing good and you're living high on the hog and things are going good, enjoy that. He tells us to enjoy it later on, next verse, next page actually. Enjoy prosperity while you can, and that's the truth. But only wisdom is going to save our life, and we have to use that wisdom to realize that Christ is the only thing that's going to save us. We don't need to rely too much on the things of this world and the things that are coming and going. I mean, they're going to come and go, but we got to have the wisdom that Christ is who he says he is, and he does the things that he says he's going to do, and we got to use that to tell people about Christ and to bring people to Christ. That's, we gotta hold on to that wisdom and know that God is who he is, and that's what's going to save our life, is putting our complete trust in Jesus. I know that's easier said than done when times are tough, when things are sucking and life just doesn't seem like it's going our way, but we got to trust that. We got to have that. We can't pick and choose parts of the Bible that we like and that we don't like. You know, we can't do that. We just got to hold on to the things. And sometimes life sucks. But if we have the wisdom, it's going to save our life. It tells us only wisdom can save your life. And we need to have the wisdom to study our word and to know that Christ is who he says he is. I hope everybody has a good week. I hope everybody keeps praying. Dig into the Bible. Find the wisdom for yourself. Dig in there and let God show you things. There's no greater example of wisdom than experience. I mean, that's going to be your best way to gain wisdom is experience. And Christ is going to give us those experiences. We got to study our word and be obedient to the way that he wants us to do things. And we're going to gain wisdom. Good times and bad times, we're going to gain wisdom. So hold on to that. Keep praying and don't give up. Keep loving each other, praying for each other. And I'll talk to y'all next week.